The battlefield was silent. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of death. Wreckage of ships floated in the dark void. Broken metal scattered like bones across an endless graveyard of stars. Fires still burned in the hollow remains of human vessels, their light fading into nothingness. Humanity's fleet had been strong when it arrived, full of hope and determination. But now, only one ship remained. Inside that ship stood a man, Commander Elias Ward. His uniform was torn, his face marked with the dirt of battle, his eyes heavy with loss. He had watched his fleet fall one by one, watched his comrades die in fire and silence. Now he stood alone, waiting for the end, waiting for the alien fleets to finish what they had started. But the enemy did not come. No fleet, no attack, no fire, only silence. And then, something impossible happened. From the darkness, a single craft appeared. It was not a warship. It was small, fragile, its design unlike the monstrous vessels that had destroyed humanity's fleet. It moved closer, slowly, almost carefully, as if it carried something far more dangerous than guns or bombs. Elias narrowed his eyes. He prepared his last weapon, ready to fire if it came too near, but the craft did not fire. Instead, it docked. The airlock hissed open. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then she stepped inside. She was tall, slender, with silver blue skin that shimmered faintly in the dim lights of the ruined ship. Her eyes were not like human eyes. They glowed faintly, like starlight caught in crystal. Her clothing was simple, a robe marked with strange symbols, yet it carried the weight of authority. She walked forward with calm steps, her gaze locked on the human commander. Elias raised his weapon. "One move and you die." His voice was steady, though inside his chest his heart pounded like a drum. The alien woman did not move. Instead, she lowered her head. Then, slowly, she bent her knees. She knelt before him, an alien bowing to a human. Elias froze, his finger tight on the trigger. He had fought aliens for years, had seen nothing but cruelty and destruction from them. Yet here, in the ruined silence of a lost battlefield, one of them was kneeling at his feet. Her voice broke the silence, soft, almost like a whisper. "Commander of Earth, I kneel before you, not as enemy, not as conqueror, but as oath-bearer." Elias stared, his weapon trembling slightly in his hands. "What trick is this?" he demanded. "Why are you here?" The woman lifted her gaze, her glowing eyes locking with his. "Because I can give you more than they ever will. More than your allies. More than your enemies. More than this dying galaxy itself." Her words cut deep, cold and sharp. Elias did not lower his weapon. But something inside him shifted. He had heard many things from enemies before. Lies, threats, false promises. Yet her voice was not like theirs. There was no arrogance, no pride, only something else. A weight, a burden, a secret too heavy to carry alone. He took a step closer, his voice low. "Why? Why kneel before me?" The alien woman lowered her head again. "Because what I carry cannot be given to empires. It cannot be trusted to kings or warlords. Only to a human. Only to you." The silence returned. Outside, the ship, the wreckage of war floated like ghosts. Inside, a human and an alien faced each other. One kneeling, one standing, both bound by a moment that could change the fate of the galaxy. Elias's hand tightened on his weapon. His mind screamed at him to shoot, to end the threat before it began. Yet he did not fire. Something in her eyes held him still. Something in her whisper filled him with unease and hope. Finally he spoke. "You say you can give me more. What is it? What oath are you making?" The alien woman's voice was quiet, yet each word carried like thunder in his mind. "An oath that will shatter the stars themselves. If you accept, nothing will remain the same. Not for your people. Not for mine. Not for this galaxy. Her words echoed in the silent halls of the ship. Shatter the stars. Elias felt his breath catch. He wanted to demand answers, but deep inside, a part of him already knew. Whatever she carried, it was dangerous beyond measure. And now she was offering it to him. The fires outside flickered one last time before fading into darkness. The galaxy held its breath. A human commander stood at the edge of defeat, facing an alien kneeling in surrender, whispering an oath that could change everything. And Elias Ward knew one truth. Whatever choice he made next would not only decide his fate, it would decide the fate of humanity itself. Elias Ward did not lower his weapon. The silence between them felt heavy, like the weight of stars pressing down. The alien woman stayed kneeling, her hands open, showing no threat. Her glowing eyes did not blink. She waited, calm, patient, as if she knew time itself belonged to her. Finally, Elias spoke, his voice sharp. You destroyed my fleet. Your kind hunted us for years. And now you kneel and speak of oaths. Why should I not kill you here and now? The woman raised her head. There was no fear in her expression. Instead, she spoke with quiet strength. Because killing me will end nothing. You will die soon after, your people will fall, and the galaxy will forget you. But if you let me speak, if you listen, humanity may rise in ways no empire ever imagined. Elias's finger tightened on the trigger, but his mind pulled him back. Her words had a weight, like truth laced with fire. He lowered the gun slightly, though not enough to show trust. Speak then, but one wrong word, and you die. The alien woman's lips curved into the faintest shadow of a smile. Not pride, but relief. She bowed her head deeper. My name is Silani. I am not of those who brought fire to your people. I am of the Silent Order. We watch. We guard. We carry knowledge too dangerous to be free. For centuries we swore never to share it. But now... She paused, her voice trembling for the first time. Now the galaxy is breaking. And only you can hold it together. Elias frowned. Why me? Why humanity? We are weak compared to the great empires. Why kneel to us? Her eyes glowed brighter like two stars burning in the dark. Because weakness is a lie. I have watched your kind. You fall, you suffer, but you rise again. Every empire fears you, not for your numbers, not for your weapons, but for your spirit. You refuse to die quietly, and that is why I kneel before you. The words cut through Elias like a blade. He thought of the shattered fleet outside, of the friends and brothers he had lost. Humanity was bleeding, broken. And yet, here was an alien, speaking of their strength, bowing as if he were more than just a defeated commander standing in a ruined ship. He lowered his weapon a little more. What is this knowledge you speak of? What do you offer? Silani's voice became a whisper, soft but sharp. A gift hidden since before your world knew the stars. Technology that could unmake fleets, silence empires, and bend the galaxy itself. It is dangerous, forbidden, but it is real. I can give it to you, but you must accept the oath that binds it. Elias felt a chill crawl down his spine. He remembered the words she had spoken earlier, an oath that will shatter the stars. His instincts screamed at him. This was no simple promise. This was a burden, a chain, a power that could save humanity but also destroy everything. He stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. And what do you want in return? Silani looked at him, her voice steady. Only that you listen, that you take the oath and with it the weight of choice. If you refuse, the knowledge dies with me. If you accept, humanity will rise, but the galaxy will burn. The words echoed through the silent chamber. Humanity will rise, but the galaxy will burn. Elias's chest tightened. He thought of Earth, of families waiting for soldiers who would never return. He thought of the children who would grow up under the shadow of alien cruelty. Could he risk everything for them? Could he trust a kneeling stranger whose kind had spilled human blood? Selani placed her hand against the floor, pressing her forehead, down in a gesture of surrender. Commander of Earth, this is my vow. I offer humanity what no other race will. Not mercy, not pity. Power. Power to survive when all others wish you gone. But know this. Once you accept, there is no return. The galaxy itself will turn against you. Elias stared down at her, his weapon still raised, but his hand trembling. He felt the gravity of her words. An oath, a gift, a curse. He could see the trap and the salvation in the same breath. His voice was low, almost a growl. Why should I believe you? Why risk your life for me? Selani slowly lifted her head, her glowing eyes shimmering with something strange. Sorrow. Because I have seen what is coming. The empires think they control the stars, but something greater stirs in the dark. If humanity falls now, there will be no one left to stand against it. My people are too broken, too afraid, but your kind was born to fight against the impossible. That is why I kneel. That is why I choose you. Her words pierced the silence, heavy with truth and dread. Elias felt his breath grow shallow. Outside, the wreckage floated endlessly, silent witnesses to this moment. Inside, a human commander stood before an alien kneeling at his feet, offering him a choice that could rewrite the destiny of all mankind. And though his weapon was still in his hand, Elias realized something terrifying. He was already listening. The silence between them stretched long, broken only by the hum of the ship's failing systems. Elias kept his weapon steady, though his arm ached from holding it so long. Selani remained on her knees, head lowered, glowing eyes fixed on the floor as if awaiting judgment. At last Elias spoke. His voice was cold, carrying the weight of every fallen human outside. You kneel. You whisper of gifts, of power. But I hear only riddles. If you want me to trust you, then speak plain. What is this oath you offer me? Selani raised her head slowly. For the first time there was a flicker of hesitation in her eyes. She breathed deeply, her voice low, as if the words themselves could summon danger. The oath I carry is older than your world's first fire. It was made when the galaxy was still young. My people swore to guard it, to never speak it to the empires, to never let it be used again. But the time has come. I must break that vow, and I must give it to you. Elias frowned. You speak of a secret. A weapon? Her eyes glowed brighter, reflecting the broken light of the room. More than a weapon, a bond, a chain of power, an oath that binds two lives, the giver and the receiver. When spoken, it unlocks knowledge sealed in blood and memory, knowledge that can destroy fleets, crush worlds, and awaken machines that have slept for ages. But once it is spoken, it cannot be undone. The oath becomes part of you. It consumes. It changes. Elias felt a chill crawl down his spine. He had faced fleets. He had stood against death, but this was something different. Something alive. Something heavy with ancient purpose. Why give this to me? He asked again, harsher this time. Selani bowed her head. Because no empire deserves it. They would use it to enslave, to burn, to rule forever. But humanity does not bow. You fight even when broken, even when the stars themselves turn against you. If anyone is worthy to bear this oath, it is your kind. And if you fall, then at least the galaxy will fall fighting, not kneeling. Elias's hand trembled on his weapon. His heart pounded with the weight of her words. He thought of Earth, still scarred from wars past. He thought of his fleet, torn apart only hours ago. Humanity was dying. Could this oath save them? Or would it only lead to another chain, another curse? He narrowed his eyes. What happens if I refuse? Selani closed her eyes. Her voice was heavy with finality. Then the oath dies with me. The galaxy continues its slow fall into shadow. Humanity is erased, just another forgotten race among the stars. And when the great darkness comes, no one will stand against it. You will be remembered only as ashes. The words cut like a knife. Elias felt the silence pressing in again, wrapping around him like cold iron. His thoughts raged. He wanted to believe she was lying, that this was all some trick to break him. Yet something in her voice carried a weight he could not ignore. Finally, Elias lowered his weapon, though he did not holster it. His voice was low, almost a whisper. "Show me." Selani's eyes opened. Light flickered within them, like tiny galaxies burning behind glass. Slowly, she raised her hand. Upon her palm, symbols of light appeared, glowing lines that twisted and shifted as though alive. They formed patterns Elias had never seen, shapes that made his head ache as if his mind could not fully hold them. "This," she said softly, "is the first mark of the oath. It is alive, tied to blood, tied to will. If you accept, the mark will burn into you. It will grant you sight beyond sight, knowledge beyond what your people could ever dream. You will command what was hidden, awaken what was forgotten. But," she paused, her voice dropping into something darker, "you will never be free again. The oath binds both giver and bearer until death. My life will be tied to yours. If you fall, I fall. If you break, I break." Elias's breath caught. He stared at the glowing mark, his mind filled with questions. Was this salvation, or poison dressed as hope? He stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. "And what do you gain from this? Why would you tie your life to mine?" Selani lowered her gaze. For the first time, her voice trembled. "Because I have no choice. My oath was written long before I was born. My life has only one purpose: to find the one who can bear it, to kneel before them, to give everything. I am nothing without it. And now, that one is you." The silence grew heavy again. Elias felt the weight of centuries pressing down on him, the burden of a choice that could not be undone. Before him, knelt an alien, offering him a chain of power, a bond that could lift humanity from the ashes or bury it forever. His hand hovered above the mark on her palm. He did not touch it. Not yet. But his voice was steady when he spoke. "If I take this oath, if I accept, then humanity will rise." Selani looked up at him, her glowing eyes burning like fire. "Yes, but know this, Commander. Humanity will rise in blood. The stars themselves will shatter in your wake. The galaxy will never forgive you." Elias's breath was shallow, his heart heavy. He knew she spoke the truth. He also knew one thing more: the choice could no longer be avoided. And in that moment, staring at the mark of the forbidden oath, Elias Ward realized his next decision would not only decide humanity's future, it would decide the fate of the galaxy itself. The mark of light still glowed in Selani's palm, shifting and twisting like living fire. Elias stared at it, his breath heavy, his mind torn between belief and fear. Outside the ruined ship, the wreckage drifted in endless silence. But beyond that silence, far across the stars, whispers had already begun. Empires were watching. Spies carried words faster than light. The silent order had broken its vow, and Selani's act of kneeling before a human was a betrayal no one could ignore. Fleets stirred in their hidden docks, generals demanded answers, and rulers whispered of vengeance. If humanity was given the oath, if Elias accepted the forbidden bond, then balance would shatter, and no empire would allow that to happen. Inside the broken ship, Elias lowered his weapon at last, though he did not holster it. He walked slowly, past Selani, his boots echoing against the cold metal floor. His voice was quiet but sharp. "You've already painted a target on my people's back. If what you say is true, the galaxy won't wait. They'll strike Earth before I even decide." Selani rose from her knees, her tall figure casting a shadow across the flickering lights. "They will," she admitted softly. "Already their fleets prepare. They will not risk humanity holding the oath. They will try to erase you before the choice is even made." Elias turned, his jaw tight, his eyes burning with anger. "Then you've doomed us all." Her expression did not change, but her glowing eyes dimmed for a moment. Or saved you. Because without this oath, they will still erase you. Only slower. Humanity was never meant to survive in their design of the galaxy. With the oath, you at least have a chance to fight. Elias clenched his fists. His heart screamed with grief and fury. He wanted to strike her, to shout at her for daring to put such a burden in his hands. But deep inside, he knew she was not wrong. Humanity's fleet was gone. Earth was exposed. Even without her, the alien empires would come. The silence between them grew heavy again, broken only by the failing hum of the ship's power. Finally, Elias spoke, his voice low and bitter. "What happens if I take it? If I accept your oath?" Selani stepped closer, her presence calm but powerful. "Then humanity becomes something new. The oath will give you sight, knowledge, and the keys to awaken machines long buried. You will stand against the empires not as prey but as predator. But know this." Her voice deepened, each word sharp as steel. "When you rise, every empire will unite against you. The galaxy will bleed, and your name will be written in both glory and terror." Elias turned away, staring at the stars through a shattered viewport. He thought of Earth, of the families, waiting under fragile skies, of children who would never see their fathers return from this war. Could he risk bringing a storm greater than anything before? Or was this storm already here, waiting only for him to decide? Unseen by either of them, far beyond the broken battlefield, fleets were moving. Signals flared across the void. Alien admirals whispered of betrayal in their ranks. Selani's disappearance had not gone unnoticed, and the Silent Order's vow had been broken. To them, only one answer remained: destroy the oath, and destroy humanity before it could spread. Back on the ship, Selani turned her gaze toward Elias, her voice quieter now. "You do not have long. They will come soon. Not days, not weeks, hours. They will descend on this place and on your Earth. If you accept, the oath will awaken something that can protect you. If you refuse, humanity will be erased before you draw your next breath." Elias closed his eyes. He could hear the screams of dying men in his memory, could see the fire of ships burning, could feel the weight of every decision that had led him here. He was only one man, a commander without a fleet, a survivor among ruins. And yet the choice before him was no longer about himself. It was about all of humanity. When he opened his eyes, there was steel in them. He turned to face Selani. "If I accept, then my people will rise. But if I fall, we fall together." "That is the oath?" She bowed her head slowly. "Yes, my life becomes yours. Your fate becomes mine. Together we rise. Or together, we burn." The ship shuddered suddenly, a low rumble echoing through the broken halls. Elias stiffened, hand flying to his weapon. Selani's eyes widened, glowing brighter. "They are here," she whispered. Through the broken viewport, Elias saw it. Shadows stretching across the stars, ships emerging from the void. Alien fleets, vast and merciless, closing in like predators around wounded prey. Humanity's last commander stood in the ruins of his fleet, with an alien woman kneeling at his side, offering him a choice that could shatter the stars. And as the enemy drew near, Elias knew time had run out. The enemy ships closed in, their shadows crawling across the stars like a storm of blades. Hundreds of them, sleek, sharp, merciless. Elias's breath tightened as he counted the signatures on the broken radar. His own ship was barely alive, a hollow wreck drifting in silence. He had no fleet left, no weapons that could match the fire raining toward him. Beside him, Selani stood calm, her glowing eyes fixed on the growing armada. "The choice is now, Commander," she whispered. "Accept the oath, and you will rise. Refuse, and humanity dies here with you." Elias's chest burned. His heart screamed with rage at the sight of alien fleets closing in to erase Earth's last hope. He thought of home, the oceans of Earth, the mountains, the cities where children played under skies unscarred by war. He thought of the voices, of his crew, now forever silenced in the wreckage around him. This was not only his fight. This was humanity's final breath. His hand trembled as he looked at Selani's outstretched palm, the living mark glowing brighter with each passing second. It seemed to pulse with his own heartbeat, calling him, daring him. He closed his eyes, teeth clenched. "If this is a trap, I will kill you." Selani bowed her head. "Then our deaths will be one, but if it is truth, then you will command fire greater than any empire has known." Elias drew in one last breath, then placed his hand over hers. Fimiziao, Mark burned instantly. Light seared into his skin, twisting, carving patterns of fire into his flesh. He bit down a cry of pain as the light crawled up his arm, across his chest into his very bones. His vision blurred, stars spinning into endless spirals. He saw flashes, machines buried beneath planets, ships older than empires rising from oceans, fire burning through the void. Selani gasped as the mark spread across her own body, lines of light cutting into her skin like living veins. She fell to her knees, whispering words in a language Elias could not understand, her voice shaking with both agony and reverence. The oath bound them, linking life to life, soul to soul. Then silence. Elias fell forward, catching himself on the floor. His breath came ragged, his body trembling. But when he opened his eyes, the world was not the same. Symbols danced before his vision, glowing faintly over the shattered controls of his ship. He could see pathways of power buried deep beneath, the metal systems long dead now whispering for his command. He could feel the hum of energy beneath the floor, ancient engines stirring. Selani looked up at him, her voice weak but filled with awe. "It is done. You are Oathbearer now." Elias stood, his body still shaking, but strength flowed through him in waves. He reached for the ruined console before him, and the ship answered. Lights flickered to life. Dead systems awoke. Weapons, long silent, hummed with ancient fire. Outside, the alien fleet moved closer, preparing to strike. Elias's ship should have been nothing but a corpse among wreckage. But suddenly its hull shimmered with lines of burning light. Plates of ancient armor slid into place. Cannons unfolded from hidden chambers, and a roar of power thundered across the void. Elias felt the ship as if it were part of him, its systems no longer machines but veins of his own body. He spoke, his voice low and filled with something new. "Rise." The ship obeyed. Engines ignited brighter than the stars themselves. The wreckage around him was cast into shadows as the vessel transformed, no longer a dying human cruiser but something far older, far stronger, something the galaxy had not seen for centuries. The enemy fleet hesitated. Sensors screamed warnings. Admirals barked orders, unsure if they faced a ghost or a god. And then Elias gave the command. Fire. A single cannon lit with unbearable light. The blast tore across the void, not like any weapon humanity had ever known. It did not simply strike the enemy ship. It unraveled it, ripping metal and energy, apart until nothing remained but dust. One shot, one ship erased. Silence followed, stunned and terrible. The enemy fleet faltered, their advance slowing, their confidence shaken. Inside the awakened ship, Elias stood taller, his eyes burning with the same faint glow as Selani's. He could feel the oath inside him, a power both alive and dangerous, whispering of more, of greater fire, of storms waiting to be unleashed. He clenched his fists, forcing the whispers back. Selani staggered to her feet, her voice quiet but steady. This is only the beginning. The oath has awakened the first key. More remain, hidden across the stars. With each one, humanity will grow stronger, but so will the enemy's fear. They will not stop now. They will unite all of them to erase you before you can rise. Elias stared at the enemy fleet regrouping, forming tighter formations. His ship, his oath-bound weapon, thrummed with untamed power beneath him. He knew she spoke the truth. This was not victory. This was the opening strike of a greater war. But for the first time, Elias did not feel like prey. He looked at the stars, with steel in his voice. Let them come. Humanity will not kneel. Not now. Not ever. Outside, the enemy fleet surged forward once more, filling the void with fire. And deep within the oath-bound ship, ancient systems roared awake, ready to answer their commander's will. The galaxy had thought humanity broken. But now, with the oath burning in Elias's blood, they would learn a new truth. When humans are cornered, they rise. The void erupted with fire. Alien ships surged forward, their weapons blazing like suns, their formation perfect, their intent merciless. To them, Elias's ship was a heresy that could not be allowed to live. They came not as hunters, but as executioners, to erase the last ember of humanity before it could grow into fire. Inside the oath-bound ship, Elias stood at the command deck, his hands clenched tight around the console that now pulsed like a living heart. His own pulse matched its rhythm, every beat of his body tied to the vessel itself. The oath burned within him, whispering in voices of thunder, urging him to unleash more, to show the galaxy what humanity could become. Selani stood beside him, her face pale, her eyes glowing with faint light. She looked at him not as a commander, but as something new, something more. "They will not stop," she whispered. "Not until Earth is ash. Not until you are gone. The oath will answer your will, but you must command it without fear. If you hesitate, both of us die." Elias felt his chest tighten. Fear still clawed at him, but rage burned brighter. He thought of his people, scattered and broken, waiting for salvation that never came. He thought of the men and women who had died to buy him this single moment. He would not let their sacrifice be forgotten. He would not let humanity vanish. He raised his hand. "Then let them see what it means to face humanity." The ship responded instantly. Its hull blazed with burning lines of light, its weapons awakening with a roar that shook the void. Enemy fire rained down, but the ship's shields shimmered like living stone, bending the attacks into streams of harmless sparks. Then Elias spoke a single word: strike. The cannons lit with impossible power. Beams of energy tore through space, cutting enemy ships apart like paper. One after another, alien warships exploded in silence, their wreckage scattering into dust. But it was not just destruction, it was fear. The fleets had faced many enemies before, but never had they seen a dying human vessel rise as a god of war. Elias's eyes burned now, glowing faintly like Selani's. He felt not only the ship but the stars themselves. Every shot, every ripple of power was tied to his will. The oath whispered more, offered more. His mind touched ancient codes, hidden, commands buried in forgotten worlds. He could awaken storms, tear apart planets, even break suns. The power tempted him, begged him. Selani's hand gripped his arm, her voice trembling. "Do not lose yourself. The oath gives, but it also takes. You must master it, or it will master you." Elias gritted his teeth. He could feel the hunger in the power, a wild storm begging to be unleashed without restraint. He forced it back, focusing only on what mattered, protecting his people, protecting Earth. The enemy regrouped. Their fleets shifted into desperate formation, surrounding him from all sides, their commanders willing to die if it meant ending this threat. 1,000 ships turned their guns upon him. Elias closed his eyes, steadying his breath. He spoke not as a man, but as something more. "We rise," the oath answered. The ship's core roared to life, energy bursting outward in a wave that rippled across the battlefield. Light brighter than a star poured from its hull, engulfing the enemy fleets. Ships twisted, broke, shattered into fragments as the wave cut through them like glass. Entire squadrons vanished in seconds, their fire silenced, their commanders erased. The void burned as if the stars themselves were tearing apart. When the light faded, silence returned. Hundreds of enemy ships were gone. The battlefield that had once been a graveyard of humanity now became the graveyard of its enemies. Only a handful of survivors fled into the dark, their signals carrying one message back to their empires. Humanity had risen, and the stars themselves trembled. Elias stood at the console, his body shaking, his vision blurred. The oath's power had nearly consumed him, its whispers louder now, hungrier. He felt the bond with Selani burning deep in his chest, their lives tied, their fates sealed. He turned to her, his voice raw. "How long before they come again?" Selani lowered her head. "Not long. You have shown them too much. They will gather their full strength now. Every empire will unite not to fight each other but to destroy you. You are no longer a commander, Elias. You are the oath-bearer. To them, you are the greatest threat this galaxy has ever seen." Elias's gaze hardened as he looked out at the wreckage drifting in the void. Once, humanity had been prey. Once, they had been nothing but survivors. But no longer. He spoke softly, but his words carried like steel. "Let them come. Let them bring their fleets, their armies, their fire. Humanity does not kneel. If the stars must shatter, then let them shatter in our hands." Selani bowed her head, not in submission but in respect. For the first time in centuries, the forbidden oath had found its bearer, and the galaxy, vast and unyielding, had found its reckoning. As the wreckage burned and silence returned, Elias Ward stood as more than a commander. He stood as humanity's vengeance, humanity's hope, humanity's war made flesh. And the stars themselves seemed to tremble because they knew the truth. Humanity had risen, and nothing would ever be the same again.